Joseph Boxer, your host on Beast of Late Night. Today I'll be chatting with people who have read an amazing book called Animal Farm. As you all know, I famously starred in this wonderful book, which was based on a true story. Our guest today will be giving the audience and I their thoughts on the book and its message. Our first guest is Shannon. Let's give her a warm welcome. It's great to have you back on the show.
It's been a hot minute.
Well, we are happy that you've decided to join us again. I heard you read the book I famously starred in. What are your thoughts on this masterpiece?
The plot was interesting and kept me drawn throughout the book. Mr. Jones was running Manor Farm, but he was doing a pretty crummy job. Old Major's dream and speech lit the animals' hearts on fire, igniting a revolution. The pigs took the leadership role on the farm, creating conflict between Napoleon and Snowball. Eventually, Napoleon won and became the outright ruler of Animal Farm. Soon after, the pigs started the work on the windmill. Eventually, it is built along with others, and the pigs begin to act like humans.
A wild story. A wild, wild story I lived through.
Wild is one word for it. There were also running themes throughout the book that added to the story. Power and the corruption of power, rules and order, violence, dreams, and pride are all major themes in the story.
Was there anything else about the story that impressed you?
Its connections to history were unbelievable. It was amazing the way the story and the characters resembled the Russian Revolution.
Resembled the Russian Revolution? Revolution? What is revolution?
Revolution is when people of a nation overthrow their government. Mr. Jones is modeled after Tsar Nicholas II. His rule was marked by instability, but just as Jones' control of the farm was unstable. He could never keep up with the animals consistently and often neglected their needs. Under Jones, the animals were hungry and led lives of want. Just as Mr. Jones was overthrown by the animals, Tsar Nicholas II was overthrown by the Bolsheviks.
Bolsheviks? That sounds like a fancy soup.
I wish it was as simple as a soup. The Bolsheviks were a group who seized control of the Russian government in 1917. They were led by a man named Vladimir Lenin, who shares many qualities with Old Major.
Old Major remains a legend. He embodied our cause to become free, independent animals. He taught us the show's founding song, Beasts of England.
Oh, I know. I've heard about Beasts of England more times than I would have liked to.
Old Major had a way with words. He could tell you something that wasn't the truth and you would still believe him. His ability to instill ideas in us was incredible.
It was evident in the book that he had an effect on the animals. However, he died before he could see the revolution. The same thing happened to Lenin, as he died before he could witness how his reforms would continue to influence others.
Are there any other similarities between the two situations?
There are, actually. The pigs also show characteristics of important people at the time of the revolution. For example, Snowball represents Leon Trotsky, and Napoleon, the true mastermind of Animal Farm, represents Joseph Stalin.
I've never heard of any Mr. Joseph Stalin or this Leon Trotsky you are talking about. Those names sound foreign and far away. Who are those people you speak of?
Leon Trotsky was the enemy of Stalin. Stalin led the Bolsheviks in the revolution after Lenin. He chased Leon Trotsky out of power and had him killed. This resembles how Napoleon chased Snowball out of power and off of Animal Farm. There are also other similarities. Frederick represents Adolf Hitler, who forged an alliance with Stalin. Pilkington represents the United States and the United Kingdom. The Battle of Cowshed parallels the entire Russian Civil War in 1917.
I had no idea that these things even happened.
Incredible, right?
Truly incredible. Thank you, Shannon, for being with us today. You give us some incredible insight. We appreciate you coming down to our show. I would like to welcome Miss Emily Michaud, our newest guest. She has never been on our show before, so she may be a little nervous with such a big audience, as we have millions of viewers far and wide. Welcome. We are delighted to have you here. How are you doing on this glorious day?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little nervous. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay then, I'm sure you enjoyed the book. What are your thoughts on the work of art?
It was a little disturbing. The animals were so innocent and suddenly they were being manipulated by the pigs. They demonstrate humans' vulnerability to the manipulation of language.
Manipulated? The pigs were our fearless leaders. They would never do anything to offend a fellow animal.
They may be fearless, but they are very self-centered. The pigs have no regard for you, no matter what you think.
I'm sorry, but you are wrong. The pigs always put others before themselves.
How can you think they put you before themselves when they changed the 7 commandments to only benefit the pigs? They used methods that were not obvious to you to maintain control of Animal Farm. The pigs corrupted Animal Farm.
What do you mean?
Napoleon used his persuasiveness to establish an unjust dictatorship. The pigs, such as Squealer, used their way with words to manipulate anyone who questioned their supremacy. They made every animal on the farm believe that they were better off. In reality, nothing had changed, and the animals were still oppressed just as they had been when Jones was on the farm.
I refuse to believe Napoleon would ever allow such things to go on. He provided for us all.
This is exactly what I am talking about. He has brainwashed you and all the other animals. He created a false idea of righteousness using strong words and persuasiveness.
This is insane. Napoleon wouldn't manipulate me or any other animal.
I'm sorry, Roxer, but he did. Napoleon was wrong.
Napoleon is always right. He would never hurt another animal.
Do you not know?
No, what?
I hate to be the one to tell you this.
Tell me what?
As you got older and could no longer work, Napoleon had you killed.
I thought I died of old age. I'm sorry, this is too much for me to handle right now.
We are currently experiencing some technical issues, and your host will be taking a short break due to emotional conflicts. Please relax and enjoy this short commercial break.
I'm so sorry I left the show, but I found out that I was murdered by my former hero. I was not expecting that Napoleon would ever hurt another animal, especially me. I never thought he was capable of such actions, but now I realize he was lying to me, to all of us. However, I won't let him ruin the show. Thank you, Emily, for telling me something that no one else would. Your being here today has opened my eyes.
Thank you for this opportunity.
We have had two fantastic speakers already here with us today. We have one final guest with us. Please help me welcome Emma Rodden. Welcome to our show, Emma. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you for asking. You have also read Animal Farm, correct? What did you think of the book?
I was impressed by how symbolic the book was.
What do you mean?
Well, there were lots of little symbols within the book. For example, Moses represents religion and the Russian Orthodox Church, as he always talks about Sugar Candy Mountain. Mr. Whymper represents capitalism and those who did business with the Soviets because he was a solicitor for the pigs.
I never knew that the story of Animal Farm had so many connections to the human world.
There were also larger pieces of symbolism, one of them being the division of the farm.
The farm was divided?
You already know that Snowball represents Trotsky, Napoleon represents Stalin, and Old Major represents Lenin. When Lenin and Old Major died, there were struggles for both power in Russia and on Animal Farm. Both Trotsky and Stalin wanted to control Russia, but they had different ways of doing so. Trotsky wanted to spread the revolution into other countries, while Stalin wanted to keep it in Russia. Stalin was the only one who had the power to ignite revolution, as he was persuasive and able to convince people he was right.
Really?
Just as Russia was divided on who was right, Stalin or Trotsky, the farm was also divided between Snowball and Napoleon. This whole argument and confusion in Russia is symbolic of the divide in the farm.
Are there any other major symbols?
Yes, the windmill is symbolic of the pigs' manipulation of the animals for their own gain.
I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into that windmill.
I know, because they manipulated you to take on back-breaking labor. The building of the windmill ultimately would make the pigs more money, and they knew that. They knew that if you endured harsh working conditions, their power would ultimately increase.
It all makes sense now.
The book was full of symbols. There's also the symbolism of the Battle of the Windmill as it represented World War II. The 4 young pigs represents opposition to Stalin or Napoleon and their plans for the future.
That amazes me. I can't believe I had no idea all this was going on. Thank you for being here today. We have had quite a show today, folks. Each of our guests have taught me something unique that I'd never known before. Let's welcome them back. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having us.
Glad to have been here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Each one of you has opened my eyes to the truth about Animal Farm. Thank you for this life-changing experience. It was an honor to have each of you here today. I will see you all next Wednesday on your favorite late night show, Beasts of Late Night.
We have to walk again.
Bloopers! Why? Why?
I said Beasts of Late Night, not Beasts of